Hello everyone, today is the 1 year anniversary of Stardew Valley, so with that I thought it would be fun to make a video about all the changes I would make to this amazing game. I would like to start by saying this game does not need any changes, it is absolutely perfect just the way it is. These are just my thoughts that would suit my playstyle. It's pretty crazy to think that this entire game was basically made by one person, when lots of other games out there were made by a whole team of people and didn't turn out even half as good. Now, the first change I would make would be something to assist you with the large-scale farming, something that would make all this a little less time-consuming and a little less repetitive. Even with fully upgraded tools like you see here, it can take a very long time to do a large crop, especially when your field is over 3,000 spaces. By simply adding something along the lines of the Junimo hut or even a piece of equipment like a tractor to assist with the initial plowing of the field would save a lot of time. Because as you can see, 18 spaces at a time still takes a long time to make your field crop worthy. And that's not even considering the planting of the seeds and watering, which can run you well into the night. If you have an entire field, you sometimes won't even complete it in one single day. You have to break it down into multiple days, which gets very annoying. Now obviously sprinklers can help you in regards to watering, but they do take up space themselves, which works against you if you're trying to go for maximum crop size or trying to get giant crops because they need more space to do their thing. I realize that the watering and planting of crops is a large part of this game, but for those of us who spent hundreds of hours doing it, it kind of gets old towards the end of it, so having more options would be appreciated. Even the harvesting of your crop, which should be the fun part, gets pretty repetitive when you have to spend 10 minutes of your 12-minute day doing it. The Junimo huts do help a lot with the harvesting aspect of this, but they do have their drawbacks. For one, they do take up space themselves, 6 spaces out of your crop, and they have a limited working range, so that means you have to put multiple Junimo huts. Plus, they take until 5 PM to do their harvesting, so you have to be awake for that duration of time, and when you get into the late game to do this stuff, you often want to go to bed before that because you don't necessarily have a lot else to do by that point. And combine these huts with the sprinklers and scarecrows, and that doesn't leave you a whole lot of room for crops. I still enjoy the mega crops, I just wish it could be a little bit less repetitive. By the way, those pumpkins were worth 410,000 gold. Next, we're going to look at the combat system, which is a really cool thing that they added to this game, considering it's all about farming and making friends, and it gives it a little bit more diversity and different things to do. I do feel like this could be expanded on fairly easily though. You could simply add more monster types, more weapon types, some rare drops that you just don't normally find very easily. I feel like it's pretty repetitive what everyone does. Everyone simply levels their combat skill up to level 10 and then gets the Galaxy Sword. It's all pretty straightforward. Adding a few boss fights certainly wouldn't hurt. They give a little bit more variety and a small sense of accomplishment once you defeat them. Even a few rare spawn enemies or rare spawn bosses, that way everyone has the hope that something will happen down the road and they get a little more continuous playtime. Also, they could definitely add more weapons, more weapon types. That's a pretty simple change and it would make quite a difference. Like I said, everyone just gets the Galaxy Sword and that's really as far as they have to go with it. I know they did add a few Galaxy weapons in the last major update, but they could still expand quite a bit further and I think it would be fairly easy. And I think Skull Cavern could be expanded upon by having a bottom or even having checkpoints at something like every 500 levels, which would obviously be really hard to get to, but give you some sense of accomplishment and something to keep striving for. And also maybe more abilities or special abilities, because admittedly I've only ever used the one with the sword a few times, so there's not really a lot of use or emphasis on those throughout the game, so simply adding a few of those would make actually a considerable difference. Another change that I suspect is probably in the works for a future update has to do with the passing of time. As it stands, the passing of time has no effect on anything in this game. Not the monsters, not the people, not the town, not your crops. It all stays the same. On this file, I'm on year 64 and nothing has changed. Even having the characters change their dialogue or their appearance ever so slightly every 10 or so years would make a huge difference to the longevity of how long you can play. I know a lot of people don't really play for that many years, but it would at least give it something to look forward to. Like I said, I played through many decades, nothing changes. I was hoping something would at some point. This could also have a major effect on your family life because as it stands, you simply get married, have a maximum of 2 kids, and they never really get past the running around toddler stage. So maybe they could continue to grow, maybe they could help out on the farm, maybe you could help them get a career and a job out in the town. Maybe they could even take over their farm and you could play as them one day. There's really a lot of endless possibilities here. I feel like this is probably something they will address in future updates. But as of right now, the family life is kind of a dead end. Get married, have kids, that's that. And that means that I basically recycle my kids every year or so because it just doesn't matter. So the last thing I would add is just simply more of everything. It's already such an amazing great game that simply adding more would make it better again. What's not to like? By simply adding a few more quests, a few more characters, a few more crops, you could add endless hours to this game. Because there's already so much to do, it's even overwhelming at first. Again, the majority of the changes I would make would cater to more of the endgame content because that's where I've spent most of my time playing, and I always like to have something to really work towards, something that is quite an accomplishment to get a hold of or achieve. But in the end, these are just the thoughts of some idiot who really likes to play this game. Anyways, that's going to be about it for this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What would you change? Maybe you wouldn't change anything because this game's perfect. On this video, I am really annoyed with the result because I lost most of the content, most of the audio along the way, so I've tried to piece it back together as best I could. Like I said, pretty annoyed with the result, but that's my own fault. Hope you liked this one. Thanks for watching.